13 years ago, I was in a really toxic relationship. And when I get out of that relationship, I went to see a therapist, and the therapist told me, you really need to work on yourself and loving yourself. I didn't know how. I'm like, what do you mean loving myself? I love myself. But she says, no, you don't. So in order for you to love yourself, you have to do this, this, and this. I'm like, do you do that? I'm like, oh, no, I don't. I never thought about it because at that time I was a single mom.
Welcome back to another episode of The Reset Mantra with me, Sabina Maharjan. My guest today is Yoklan Holton. She is a life coach who helps women stop shrinking and start trusting themselves again, guiding them to show up in their full truth, both in her podcast and in her work. She is the host of the podcast Come to the Table as You Are. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Yoklan Holton. Hi, Yoklan. Welcome to my
Hi.
show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. I'm so happy we finally are here. I know we've been wanting to do this for quite some time, so we finally made it. So, Yoklan, I wanted to start by asking you are the host of the podcast, Come to the Table as You Are. Tell us a little bit about what's inspired you to start this podcast and how did you come up with the name?
Well, we started like close to 2 years ago. I was at UPW and I went along. Well, my son and I went to UPW 2 years ago in October in Dallas. And I met these beautiful ladies from Unleash Her Power Within. And they were like, hey, you want to create a podcast? You want to do a podcast? You want to be on our group? And I'm like, sure, let's do it. I was so open and ready to. I didn't have a clue what podcast was, to be honest. And the more that I learned about it, I was all in. And the name, it was so funny because I didn't know. I have so many names, and I wanted to be so authentic. And anything that I do, I ask God for advice. And something that I got me, if I have peace in my heart, that's it. So I have like three names, and I went to church and I said, okay, God, is this is something that you want me to do? Let me know. Give me a sign. So I was in church and the priest said it like three times. Come to the table. Come to the table. I'm like, okay, I got it. Come to the table.
Wow.
So it just show come to the table as you are. And I love the name because I invite people to come to the table as they are because that's what I want. I want people to come and really be their authentic selves and bring something for everyone because I believe we all students and we can learn from each other.
Mm, that's beautiful. So UPW, the Unleash Power Within, this is like Tony Robbins event, which is like annual, I guess, right? Like it happens annually. It sounds like you're heavy into personal development as well.
Yes.
I said it sounds, but actually I know that you are very much into personal development.
Yes.
um, how did that, just to kind of backtrack a little bit, how did your personal development journey start?
My goodness, it started 10 years ago.
Wow.
So I became, no, 13 years ago, I was in a really toxic relationship. And when I get out of that relationship, I went to see a therapist, and the therapist told me, you really need to work on yourself and loving yourself. I didn't know how. I'm like, what do you mean loving myself? I love myself. But she says, no, you don't. So, in order for you to love yourself, you have to do this, this, and this. I'm like, do you do that? I'm like, oh, no, I don't. I never thought about it because at that time I was a single mom. So, as a single mom, I was having two jobs. I was always running around with my son's sports. So, I discovered that I was codependent and I start going to really in codependency to work on myself. And I discovered that I needed to heal in many, many levels. And I really love it. I am a person that I'm really curious about my life, about how if I something it doesn't stay with me, I go deeper and heal it. And I just go and look for different things. But 3 years ago, my dad passed away in a car accident. So that really hit home. And for me, before that, nobody in my family died before. So for me, that was a big impact, and I couldn't really shake it out. I went to therapy. I did many, many things, and nothing worked. So I went online and I was like, oh my gosh, I need something in my life. And I discovered Unleash Her Power Within, which is a program only for ladies with Tony Robbins. And I went all in. And when they said, oh, we're going to have an event after we finish our 12 weeks, and then we're going to meet everybody in Dallas, and we're going to start having this beautiful community of ladies, I'm like, I'm all in. That's what I need. I need a community that we can help each other, that we can support each other. And I was all in. I started healing my life and helping other people. And yeah. And the process I become a life coach. And that really helped me because in recovery I help so many ladies healing their lives.
Hmm. I feel that as someone who had been in a long-term relationship, I guess when we're in a relationship, we can hardly identify that we're codependent, right? Like what's even a sign? We're like so tangled. It's hard to say, no, I'm not. I of course I love myself. Like when you were saying, I feel that in some way I completely resonate. Like, oh, I completely love myself. I'm so independent. But when you actually have to detach yourself from the relationship, then you know, oh, actually, I was very codependent, right? So that's a very fine line, I guess. And it's also very difficult to, you talked about like working on yourself on different levels and shedding the old layers. It's actually very difficult, right? Like what were some of the things that you think was most difficult for you to overcome, coming out of that relationship and, working on yourself?
Yeah, I think the first one was low self-esteem
Mm,
because my first relationship was I overcome domestic violence, and between that relationship to the other one, I didn't have any time. I just jumped to the other relationship because I wanted to feel safe. So in the first relationship, he destroyed me emotionally from the inside out. So when I came to this relationship, I was, it wasn't already me. I didn't have a being. I was just surviving. So I was just reacting with life. Okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. So the second was control. I wanted to control everything and anything possible because control made me feel safe.
mm,
So I wanted to have an agenda. Every single second, I needed to know what was going to happen because that provided me safety. And many more patterns that I discovered. But in the process, I'm like, oh my gosh, like a lot of people confuse like codependency is not just like that you don't love yourself or you're codependent to other people. Codependent is rooted like you learned this when I was a little girl. So I learned my codependency in my home, looking at my parents, how they act, how they were act, like the way they work with each other, the people around us. And it doesn't make them bad people because they didn't know. But that's how I learned my codependency because I thought it was the right way.
mm, mm. Yeah, we basically try to, I mean, model after our parents and what we see around, thinking that's how relationships should be. And for sure. And I guess, like, regardless of, what background we come from, women always tend to overgive. And like you said, in the absence of their partner, they tend to feel that loss of identity in case they go separate route. That low self-esteem is so much, it's so obvious that you kind of don't know who you are.
Absolutely. And the way you can tell, like people that are listening to this, the way you can tell if you're codependent or not, the moment that you stop doing what you like and taking
Mhm.
care of yourself, that's a fine line, and you said it. Like if I in order for me, I don't let anything outside of me to give me happiness. I don't let my husband's attitude or my kids or my coworker, I don't let anyone or anything take away my peace. If anyone outside of me is having a bad day, I ask, "Hey, are you okay? Can I do something about it?" But don't I don't let that affect me. And and I recognize myself. I know myself how I am, and that's why I'm always happy. I'm not faking it. This is who I am because I'm really I'm really happy. I'm really grateful that I am alive and I live every single day like if it was my last.
Totally agree. So I wanted to go back a little bit. You mentioned something really powerful that touched my heart. You mentioned that one of the signs to know if you are codependent or not is that when you stop doing things that you like and you start doing things more of like what your partner like. You want to do everything together, right? Like, so basically letting go or giving up of your hobbies, passion, just because your partner maybe want to do something else. If we have been in relationship, I think it's very, very, very obvious. So it sounds like it's very important to have our own identity, have like friends to continue your friendships, right? Like, do the things with different people other than your partner. Like,
Absolutely. Because my husband and I, we said we are two individuals, whole individuals walking this journey that we decide to walk together. He's not forcing me or he's not my half because I am whole. I take ownership and I take care of myself. Like I need to meditate, I need to pray, I need to do my rosary, whatever it takes for me to be whole. And he does his work and we all come together and make a beautiful team. We work as a team.
hmm, I love that. Let me ask you this. Before becoming a life coach, was there a personal reset moment that really is close to your heart in terms of how it changed um, your path or life?
I think it was a lot of moments in my life. And I mean, oh my gosh, it was a lot of moments in my life that now that I look back, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think my dad was one of the persons that I always look up because he was always happy and positive, and he always switched everything around for to see it beautiful or to make, like they said, if life give you lemons, make lemonade. And I always admire that from him because growing up, we didn't have a lot, but whatever we had, he was always making it like beautiful. And I always take that analogy from that. Like anything that I went in my life, I always switch it around. I'm like, how can this bad thing that happened to me, I can switch it around and maybe teach it to someone and help someone with with these beautiful tools. And I know now that they said when people die and pass away, it's so vital. People change and a lot of things change in your life.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, definitely. I know that he needed to die. And it was so now I see it as a blessing. Now that he passed away, but I can see it like he needed to pass away in order for the rest of the family to wake up.
Although most human beings, I like to believe, are really wise, but it really takes something really like a rock bottom moment for us to change. And I guess, that's the way we get to be wiser, right? Like without that, it wouldn't be a greater meaning to just like change, right? Like there must be a bigger reason for change. And then the bigger the reason, the massive the transformation, I guess. So,
In life, I think many things happen in my personal life that really shaped me to see life with the biggest purpose. And anytime something big happened to me, I'm always alone. So for me, that's a sign that God is saying, "Hey, you have to go through this." Because imagine the person that you're becoming after you go through this.
hmm,
And I see it something as beautiful. Maybe I don't like it so much when I'm going through, but I do my best to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
hmm. Yeah, you have to go through this to grow through life. What are some of the limiting beliefs that you had to unlearn to come to the table as you are?
Um, I think I unlearn every day things that some I learned on my way growing up. And I needed to unlearn a lot of things in order for me to become this person right now. When I come to the table, I learn, first of all, my ego. My ego is not my amigo. So I let that ego go away because when I come to the podcast, I really speak from my heart and I want everybody to take something. It doesn't matter what it is. And if they can take something and learn something, for me, it means everything. I come to the table as you are, as my authentic self, to show them that real people exist with real problems. So I just want to give them tools. And it's not about me. It's about when I, instead of me going to my head, I go to my heart.
Hmm.
What can I give you today that you can learn from this and hopefully implementing in your life?
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. I know you mentioned about tools, right? So as a life coach, if someone's listening and they're, let's say, trying to start over their life at any given point, it could be in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. What's what are some of the tools that you would recommend them or some tips for them if they are starting over their life?
I always ask them when I get a new client, I always says, get to know yourself. I'm gonna help you to really to get to know yourself because if you don't know yourself, how can you identify things that we have to work on it? Impossible. And if you spot it, you got it. So I always ask them, I want you to make a list of things that you see in people that you don't like and make another list of the things that you see in people that you like. Because that's how I see it in me. If I see someone that, I mean, I see something in someone that I don't like, it doesn't mean that I'm going to hate that person, but it's something in me that I have to work. And I take full responsibility about that. And I have to work on that. And I asked them, make a list with what is negotiable and non negotiable. Because that is really something, a footprint that they can, okay, I can work with this, I cannot work with this. And then I teach them about boundaries.
Hmm.
That's a big one. Once you get to know yourself, you can set up boundaries. When you don't know yourself, it's impossible because you don't know what is a boundary. And we don't. But the more that you get to know yourself, the more that you're curious about your life and you're like, huh, what's a boundary? How can I use a boundary here? And once you get to know yourself, you can feel your intuition and be like, I don't like this, or I don't like how these people is treating me. Is this right? And I always ask questions to myself. I'm my best friend and my coach, and I always ask questions when I feel a feeling. I said it out loud. Hmm, I'm feeling this. Is this true? Is this kind? Is this real? Because those questions, nobody's gonna come to rescue me. I need to rescue myself. So those I ask myself questions and I check in with me during all day. How do you feel? What do you need, your clan? Do you need a hug? Okay, hug yourself. Do you need some water? Are you tired? Do you want to take a nap? I go take a nap. My boundaries, I see it like with myself first because I cannot set up a healthy boundary with anyone if I don't do it with myself. Like I have healthy boundary when I go to sleep. I go to sleep early because I know that for me, I'm gonna wake up fresh and happy.
Mm,
If I don't sleep my 9 hours, I'm gonna be not my best.
mm.
And I'm gonna give you my best because I don't know if it's gonna be my last day. And who am I to give you a bad attitude? I don't know. I want to give you everything that I have.
That's beautiful. I really like how you said, making sure that you're meeting your own needs and you have your healthy boundary within yourself first, right? Like taking care of yourself so you can like filling your own cup so that you can show up as the best self. If someone's listening to this episode and there's one thing you want them to remember or take away, what would you tell them?
Oh my gosh. Like always says, remember that you are worthy, you are loved, and you are enough.
Mm, that's lovely. When life feels heavy or you're off center, what's your go-to mantra?
I have an intention that I have every day, and my intention every day is different. So I write it down on a sticky note and I have it, that intention, wherever I go, I have it in front of me. And it can be all is well. It can be focus on, don't focus on you, focus on something beautiful, or be grateful, focus on gratitude, focus on joy. So when something is outside of me, I feel it because you cannot heal something if you don't feel it. I feel the emotion and I let it go. I focus on my breathing. And when I'm focusing on my breathing, I'm repeating that mantra in my head and
Mm,
I let that go. And then I go for a walk. Like it depends on the situation, but I don't let that to go to my head. I
mm,
just feel it. I'm like, okay, because I always says, and a thought become an emotion become a feeling become an action. So you have to be really mindful of your thoughts. And I don't, from my thoughts, I'm always capture them like this. Like I always imagine like I'm in the freeway and I'm on like outside of the freeway and I'm looking at my thoughts like super fast. But it's up to me. It's like hook them to them or not. Or I can let them go. Bye. See you later.
mhm, mhm, mhm,
So I'm really mindful of that. And I'm really mindful of what I listen, who I talk to, and who's my vitamin people. I always vitamin, I have different vitamins. I have vitamin G, which is my vitamin God, and I have vitamin people that when something bad happen, I just communicate with them and they just listen without not say without saying anything.
mm.
And I love that.
I used to think thoughts are real. And then now I've totally am convinced that you are not your thoughts. And it's not just like a poetry, right? It's the reality. Like we're just observing those thoughts and we have the choice to choose which thoughts belong to us and which don't. And like you said, if it doesn't belong to you, just let them pass. Just say bye-bye. And there's no place for you here. And
Yeah.
I think that if you do it repeatedly, somehow your brain just automatically trained for them to kind of like subconsciously track a negative thought and just bypass it, right? Like without you having to do that. So I think that's such a powerful thing. I wish a lot of people, I'm sure a lot of people do know, but I really do wish to spread this kind of awareness, for those people around the world. It's such a powerful thing. Like how good you can feel once you are able to separate the negative thoughts from yourself, right? Because we think that we are those negative thoughts most of
Yeah,
the time.
and as a humans, I see it like we keep peeling the onion because what we know today, maybe tomorrow we says, "Oh, I don't believe on that anymore," and it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
We are human beings, and for me, being in the present moment with you, having these beautiful conversations, I'm here in the present moment. I'm not an autopilot, so you have to really do the work to train yourself to be here, and it happens with your thoughts as well.
Mm.
Your thoughts, they're always gonna be there. People that they do meditation, they said, "Oh my gosh, I have a lot of thoughts." That for me and my experience when I meditate, I don't try to have my mind in white. The way I see it is like I see my thoughts moving and it's okay. I let them go. But if a thought keeps repeating, I'm really curious about it. I'm like, how come these thoughts keep repeating? What am I looking at? Who am I talking to that this negative thought is repeating? Like, I'm really curious what I read, when I watch television. I don't watch the news. I don't focus on negative conversations. If someone is talking negative, I remove myself from the equation, and I always says, "Can we pray about it? Can we pray about them?" And everybody stops.
I like that. That's a really good way to disrupt the negative conversation. Can we
And I
pray about it?
and I do my best to do it with everything because we live in community, and I'm not here to change anyone or anything. But if I can do my best, why not?
Mm, I love that. Yeah. Before we wrap up, I've put together a few cosmic questions, which I ask all of my guests at the end of the conversation. So it's a three question, kind of a rapid fire. Think of it like a little journey through your mind and the universe. No right or wrong answers, just whatever comes to your mind.
Okay.
Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Question number one. If your mind was a galaxy, what kind of planet would you be living on right now?
Yes.
Women are from Venus. Okay. Question number two. So the universe sent you a cosmic billboard. What message is written on it for you?
Be joyful.
Ah, love that. Be joyful. Joyful is one of my favorite words these days.
And that was my actually one of my words for this year, to be
Mm,
more joyful and enjoy life in all areas. And every day I do something that give me joy. It
mm,
can be buying lunch for homeless, or buying a coffee for someone behind me, or volunteer giving food away, or whatever.
mm.
Dance, whatever.
Question number three. If you could place one thought, one belief, or a mantra into every human's subconscious mind tonight, like planting a star in their mind or seed in their mind, what would it be?
You are enough.
Mm,
People that I coach, I include me because I didn't believe that I was enough, and it requires a lot of work. And most of humans, we don't think we are enough with our life. We always seeking for more validation, for approval. And when you know that you are enough, you feel complete, you feel whole, and you are in peace. And
mm,
you don't need for anyone or anything to make you feel whole because you already are.
mm. Everything we desire is already within us. It's just the work that we need to do on ourselves
Yeah.
to realize that. Wow. This has been such a joyful conversation, Yoklin. I really, really do appreciate your time. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so lovely to be here. Sending you lots of love.